Hi everyone, my name is Father Sam Kachuba and welcome to Faith Friday. I want to talk to you today about the patron saint of my parish community, Pope St. Pius X. Pope St. Pius X was born in 1835, Giuseppe Melchior Sarto, and then he would go on to become a great priest, bishop, and eventually Pope. And so he was Pope 1903 to 1914. But he grew up in a very humble circumstance. His father was the village postman, and he grew up very, very poor. And so throughout his early priesthood, he always took care of the poor. He always had a special eye for them. In fact, his sisters who would help him take care of the rectory and things like that would criticize him because he was always giving things away. He would give away his shoes, he'd give away food, and so there was never enough for them in the house or for him even. But he always took care of the poor because he identified with them in a very powerful way. And in fact, towards the end of his life, he said, "I was born poor and I will die poor." Even though he was Pope, he understood that he was going to die very poor. As Pope, he did great things, and there's so much you could say about the papacy of Pope St. Pius X. I'm not going to say everything, but a couple of things that were really very, very important for him. Number one was his desire to see the sacred liturgy upheld. And so he understood that when we celebrate Mass, we are entering into something that is totally other. And so a major component of his papal reign was he wanted to see Gregorian chant restored to its proper place. He wanted to see sacred music really taken care of and made beautiful. And he wanted to make sure that people throughout the world understood at least certain parts of the Mass in Latin that could be sung. He had a great desire to see that happen. Another thing that Pope St. Pius X was famous for was lowering the age for reception of First Holy Communion to about the age of reason, which is typically when we receive it now. He understood that in the Eucharist we find spiritual nourishment, and we need that spiritual nourishment. So not only did he encourage children to receive their First Holy Communion earlier, he encouraged people to receive Holy Communion on a regular basis. And finally, his papal motto. I want to talk about his papal motto. Instaurare omnia in Christo. To restore all things in Christ. This beautiful motto kind of captures everything about what he understood. Everything about our lives needs to be restored in Christ. Everything about our world needs to be restored in Christ. And he understood that in the early 1900s. Today, a little over 100 years later, we're invited to once again take up that motto, to restore all things in Christ, and to see how in Christ truly everything finds a new meaning, everything finds a deeper meaning, everything finds more beauty. How can we be restored in Christ today? By our reception of Holy Communion, by our participation and our love for the sacred liturgy, and most of all, by striving each and every day to become great saints ourselves. God bless you. Born Jew kept